Hi, it's me, Zach Diaz, and I'm going to hide the chat messages right now because I don't want no one distracting me while I'm talking about this. It's been 40 years of the Moody Park riots on Cinco de Mayo celebration. It was actually a Cinco de Mayo celebration. A lot of folks know what sparked the riot. And back in 1978, 1 year before I was born, okay, I was born 79. What happened in Moody Park, right about Fulton, in the I call it the ghetto, the body area of in El Paso, sorry, in Houston. I used to live in El Paso, in Houston, Texas, right there where the Metro trail rail line goes through. Okay, right there in the area by Irvington, the projects of Irvington Square, something like that. It's called. Um, right in the area, there was a riot that happened in 1978 due to the fact of a death that happened to a Latino man of Mexican American heritage named Jose Campos Torres, known as Joe Torres. What happened is in 1977, um, which is 2 years before I was born, um, he was at a bar, and I think it was during the celebration. It was after the 5th of May. It was on the 7th of May of 1977. Um, he had got into an altercation with somebody in the bathroom, and police came, and um, so then they questioned him, and according to the story, they said he resist, or according to the police department, if they were trustworthy saying this, because I doubt the trustworthy of that. Um, and they said he resisted, and he was handcuffed. He was taken to the either the Harris County Jail or either the headquarters of HPD, and he was locked up. And uh, later on, in the Buffalo Bayou, they said that six or either 8 officers. I don't know how many numbers of officers. And when I found out about the officers, it wasn't just only white officers. There were some Latinos involved. Why there's always some poacher coon or some coon? I'm sorry, I just stopped right there. It's always like the Freddie Gray. It's some coon, some of minority, a person of color just wouldn't participate in white supremacy. It gets on my nerves. Anyway, let me get to the subject. Okay, so they had drowned him in the Buffalo Bayou. They were trying to say he was trying to swim away from them. No, he wasn't. No, they killed him. Let's call it is. It was a murder by the corrupt Houston Police Department. Okay, so a year later, due to the Cinco de Mayo celebration on May 7th, 1978, 4 years ago, um, there was a group called, so I think it's called, it was an organization against police brutality. I forgot the name of the group, and it was organized by Travis Morales. It was like the Black Lives Matter, Latino Lives Matter, and it was a group of, they're all colors, but according to what I did my research, it was frustrated members of the African American descendant, because the descendant, none of us are pure black. I'm not with the one drop rule, and Latino community in Houston, particularly those in Fifth Ward, which is mostly African American descent, and the Irvington and Moody Park area, the Fulton area, mostly the north side was mostly Hispanic, Latino, mostly Mexican descent. And what happened, a lot of folks that I know, even though there probably were some beef between the two, I heard it's always, I get tired of that black and brown racism stuff, because I get tired of that. I speak Spanish. I'm also African American, English, Irish, and Native American, and along with French and Spanish Creole descent. So I am part Hispanic because of Spanish Creole descent. Last name for my four grandparents was Oriala. Those who know me on YouTube, but this is to those who don't know. Okay, I don't repeat myself. So that's what, yeah, because Spain wasn't in Creole Louisiana besides the French. And my fourth grandfather on one of my side of the family, on my mama's side, did research 2 years ago. That's in Rial, Rial. So that's Spanish. They changed the Rials. Okay, yeah, that's why my grandfather, my great grandfather, who's still living, to be 99 years old, does not know about his grandmother's. died. Last thing y'all or probably did keep it a secret because a lot of secret keep popping up in there. When I mentioned this to my grandmother, my mom's side, it's a shot, but then sometimes he start revealing some things. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, my grandma, my mom, so I told her I should be telling you this. Why are you telling me this? Well, I do a lot of research on my family. You know, I was raised on my dad's side of the family tree. My dad's side of the family raised me, but I just you gotta know where you come from, you know where you're going. Okay, so that's how. Okay, my point is, so but I get tired of the black and brown racism. But I heard it unite the community during the police brutality because HPD's officers used to go into the Fifth Ward, into the Moody Park area, um, the hood, the barrio, the ghetto, we wouldn't call it, of color, okay? And harass people of color, whether it was African American descent or Hispanic, okay? Latino, whatever you want to say, okay? So, anyway, so during that the celebration, and it was a mix, according to her other, which is only Latinos at the party. Moody Park is also Asian and African American descent. Those are in the group that Travis Morales formed against police brutality. They was handing out pamphlets of their organization, and that's when the riot between the citizens and the HPD happened. That it was a big riot. I mean, it was bloody. Uh, and then later on, just like in the King riot situation, folks was in Baltimore as well, along with in Ferguson. Folks start to riot the stores, and I remember watching either Channel 11's view of it or Channel 13 view back in the 70s. This Latino woman had said if they were so bad enough, why didn't I go to HPD and riot over there? Okay, you know, their headquarters. Why riot the stores we need to go to? And that makes a lot of sense. She started, it reminded me of what the sisters that was uh, was it Milwaukee? Uh, not Milwaukee. It was in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, whatever. What happened to Atlanta Castell and folks make the meme about her. She said we need our weed, but she said once you go ride there, another place ride in our areas, which it makes a lot of sense. Um, you know, not to say to go ride the police department, but if you're so big and bad, stop ride the areas that folks need to go to the stores and eat and you know and get their food and clothes and everything else. That makes a lot of sense. So the reason why I bring this up is 40 years of that riot, okay? And a lot of people do not know their history, particularly those in both communities. That there were police brutality right after, and like one particular YouTuber who's Hispanic who teaches at University of Houston was saying that they was trying to integrate the HPD departments with African American people and Hispanic. Still, it was didn't do services. It's the same thing. We have a chief who's Latino, okay, here in Houston. We have a mayor who's a dark chocolate brother, okay, of African American, and not no doubt that he has other races in him besides an African American, because all of us, no matter what color or shade we are, we have white and native in us, you know, but we still have problems with police officers, okay? And recently, just recently, we had a kidnapping. I'm trying to get more detail of some white racist thugs who kidnapped in the northeast side, right there about Wayside and Homestead area, Xavier Parker, a 13-year-old male of African descent, who was kidnapped by some white racist thugs. The daddy had a tattoo said he hate the ends, he hate blacks forever, and his sons are friends of the sons who are white. In an abandoned building, they were not close to abandoned building down there in an area where he was kidnapped, and they beat him. They took his cell phone, took his shoes, and they kept calling his mother saying they're going to threaten to kill him or her, whatever. A sister, Campos, a little bit my complexion with blonde hairstyle, went and rescued this young man. And she recorded this, and there was a Latino man who was a part of HPD who didn't have no compassion towards this African American young man. So I bring this up because people in this community of either the Hispanic or African descendant. I see all the comments on Facebook. I've been in Facebook jail, not real jail, but Facebook jail for bashing people, okay? Because a lot of folks don't forget that both communities were mistreated by the police department, and you have folks who either communities who work for police department participate in this, okay? We had a real high light skinned brother who was beaten by a Latino man along in the HPD. Forgot his name. And a coon officer, African descent, was helping him. So I mean, it's just weird. I mean, yeah. So you gotta understand that we have a lot of folks. You can't trust the police. Like I said, besides the police, she be Latino. They had a brother who had an Irish last name, McClendon, whatever his name is, and he was the police chief. And still we had, so that that doesn't stop anything. It seemed to me, and the same thing with the not Jose, the John Hernandez case, with a white officer's husband chokes a dentist last year, and when we had a peaceful protest, and I was there. Y'all saw me last year. Front of the Harris County courthouse. A dark skinned, dark chocolate Harris County deputy. And another one, I think, was my complexion caramel. And a couple of Latino officers came out and just said, y'all need to go. Like I said, yeah, they sent the little coons and they poacher coons there to stop the mess. And while there was a press conference, the Harris County, the head person is Latino, and people even saw, why are you not defending your people when it comes to John Hernandez? So I'm letting you know that just because somebody of color, okay, someone of color is part of the legal system does not mean everything is the everything is a blueberry situation. Okay, let's get twisted. Don't get twisted. We have a mayor, like I said, I can already say, and we still have issues. Okay, with corrupt police departments, in particular those who are of color, whether it be African American, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever mix majority of us are. Okay, so don't get all hoopla, because somebody of color is in charge. It seems to me that the people who are of color in charge are very submissive towards the white supremacists in those departments. And it could be someone of lower rank and a higher rank, and still just timid and just intimidated by them, and they show this behavior towards people of African American, Hispanic, whatever, because a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, and let's not to bash communities of color, but people of color need to start knowing about their rights, because it does say in the Bible, people perish of a lack of knowledge in Hosea 4:6, and a lot of people in both communities, especially our young generation, my generation, particularly who's Generation X, Generation Y and Z, along with the millenniums of color, choosing to be ignorant to politics, choosing to be ignorant to law enforcement, choosing to be ignorant to the legal system, choosing to be ignorant to their rights, and not trying to fight for their rights. Not trying to be the freedom fighters. And I do blame the baby boomers who in this generation who was dealing with this situation with the Joe Torres situation at this generation who's kids, or either they were already grown adults, who tell my generation and younger to hush hush and just keep it moving. That's the reason why we have a lot of problems. That's why we had Donald Trump as president. Let's be real. A lot of people who are younger than me, unlike the Barack Obama situation with a lot of Generation X came out and support Barack Obama in 2018, years ago. And Donald Trump and Hillary campaign, I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. Let me know. I did not vote for Donald Trump as well. Either I voted for Bernie Sanders and I voted for Gary Johnson, because Hillary Clinton is not to be trusted. but I don't trust that demonic woman either. She actually Trump's friend who led the reason why that he won. Let's be real, okay? It was set up, okay? Besides the Russians get involved and the electoral college get involved, it was also set up for this woman to fail because she failed with Barack Obama. She failed again purposely and admitted. Let's call like it is. That's why I didn't vote for the helper. I don't want to cuss her here. Y'all know how I feel about Hillary Clinton. She's corrupt, just like her husband. Okay, three shots are out in the prior prison complex, and let's be real. And super predators and everything. When Black Lives Matter came to protest against Hillary Clinton, this heifer has sit here trying to not use the bitch word here. Was disrespectful as well. Um, so let's get it. Let's tell like it is on this channel, okay? Without me using cuss words, I want to use cuss words over here. We're discussing this case because you have people who are elders who watch this, will watch this video. The other videos, that's not for them. Um, the truth of the matter is that a lot of people don't know about this case. A lot of young people, a lot of comments I see on Facebook. And you, even with the corruption, and we'll bring up an artist, South Park Mexican. The reason I brought this up because a lot of people don't know there was no evidence of the little girl. The little girl's adult, and reports saying that she said that's her favorite rapper. If someone raped me, I would not call him my favorite rapper. If R. Kelly raped me, if I was a female, I'm not calling my favorite R&B singer. Let's call it like it is, okay? But what happened is a lot of folks did not know with South Park Massacre called his court case that his baby mama was a white woman. The son of that came out of that is a rapper today, okay? I won't go detail that, but let's be real. The white woman was also working at a strip club as a teenager, okay? And this is nothing new. I was in El Paso, Texas. They had the Naked Harem, and Naked Harem, the Caucasian woman who owned the Naked Harem was having teenagers working as strippers, okay? Underage girls and prostitution and everything else, okay? And they had credit card receipts. That's what got her in trouble. Amber Rose was working at strip club at 15. Superhead, which is Cream Steffens, she's Via Vixen, Confession Via Vixen. Vixen Diaries, the artist, she was a Via Vixen girl. She was working as a stripper in Phoenix, Arizona, when she left her dad's house after her mother, who was Hispanic and African descent, and white. She was Jamaican, Puerto Rican, and Danish, I think, or either Scottish, whatever European roots she had in her, who abused in the Caribbean and Virgin Islands. Her dad was from here, African descent from the United States, and was living, remarried again, or he got married to her stepmom in Phoenix, Arizona. There was complications after she left, abused, and left from Florida to Arizona. She was staying home with her father, and her father and her didn't get along because the stepmom didn't get along. And she said once you leave the house, don't ever come back. She started working to all the hustle. She started getting a fake ID, and she was working at underage. So this is just to let you know, yeah. Anyway, point is, anyway, due to the fact there was a white woman involved, okay? Let's be real. That's what got SCM locked up, okay? And the reason I brought this up because an officer who arrested him is an officer who also harassed me on April 4th, 2014. We'll go ahead and say his name, Officer Reese. When I was being sexual harassed and racial harassed in the restroom, and it's hard to talk about the story. McDonald's on Harrisburg in Saguna Barrio, which is Second Ward. I was coming there before it was building a train there, which the train goes there now. And before it was finished with the train, the next year later, okay, which 2015, which let me go to see Neo and Frankie J for the Metro Rail concert that I put on my Instagram, okay, back in 2015 at the VA Campos, which is known as soccer stadium, okay. Neo and Frankie J performed. Okay, so the purple line and the green line, before the green line was built, okay? And that's where you had to catch the number 50, or either catch the number 50, before they changed the bus routes in 2015 in August. I went to go get some coffee, and I was cold. It was April. I thought it was going to be hot because it was warm. So I was wearing my flip flops. I was wearing my shorts, and I had a jacket, but I had no undershirt. So I went to the Fez Paredes across the street to go get me a gray shirt, some t-shirts to put in so I can not be cold because I have asthma and allergy. And I went um, to get some coffee and to warm me up, and also that's my drug. Caffeine's my drug, okay? And while I was there to go get some coffee, I went to a restroom and I was talking to myself. I said, "Lord, why it's so cold?" And a white male who was ugly looking, should I say, was making racial stuff. Say, "Oh, you're black," and I said, "I'm mixed with French and everything." Yes, I am. This and that. You're gonna get killed, and I said, "Excuse me, why you make racial stuff?" We're going back and forth, and I said, "Well, if that happens, you never know when somebody might try to do that to you." You know what I'm saying? Because I know you mentioned my YouTube status, whatever. I did mention that as well, and and then just like Selena, okay, you go, you're on side of all would not be alive if you get out of jail, okay. So what happened is he said, okay, oh, you're gay. And I said, no, I never had sex with a man. And he said, well, you're going to be. And so when he said this, read out. It was, I'm sorry, react, And I said, excuse me, if y'all don't get that man out there, I'm suing the restaurant. And I did say that, okay? Because people overlook minorities, especially African descent and Hispanic and secondary as well. Colorism comes into that as well, and all that other stuff comes in when it comes to our rights. And I said rights, and I said rights. So a young man, don't want to mention his first name, but his last name was Chavez. He was a darker Latino guy. I don't know if he was Guatemalan, Mexican descent, or whatever, but he was Hispanic who came and helped me out. He was a little bit my complexion. He was darker. Okay. So when he came out, the white man had said, suck my dick," so many times, as we said. And he said, "Sir, get out of here." So he was a homeless man, like he had mental issues. He goes out, and the officer takes an hour later because it was around about 11 or 1, excuse me, 1:45, 1:45, because I just went to order coffee, p.m. It took almost close to 3 o'clock, to 2:45. So, yeah, because I took a picture of the guy at the taco stand right there behind the bus terminal on, anyway, Minority Transit Center. And at 3 o'clock, I remember taking a picture of it on my Google. So anyway, point is, Officer Reese comes in, and when I mentioned the gay part, and this is when Anise Parker was mayor, which I should have told her this because she's a lesbian. He laughed, and I said that's not funny. And when so Chavez, the young manager who kicked the man out, had to go to the bank because it's Friday, and usually he's to work at convenience stores. The manager sometimes they go to the bank to go go get the money to the bank, whatever. So he had to leave. So when I told him I started a story and I mentioned I was bipolar as well, and showed my ID to the officer, to Officer Reese, everything was cool then. But I noticed that he started to be very condescending because when I mentioned the name was, "Oh, watch it, I'm old too." My grad, I said, "Well, I'll be 40 soon," so that I look young for my age. I was what, 34, going 35. Okay. So then later on, the same officer goes and said, and so while we're waiting to talk to the manager, the female, she's a light skinned Latina. She had bleached blonde hair, fake blonde dyed hair. It was her hair, but it was black, fake color. Okay. She tells him a different story, which I didn't get a chance to hear the side story to make, which did discredit my character, did assassinate my character, to maybe like I was the one who instigated issues. And Officer Reese was very rude to me. He was very intimidating me, and he screamed at me, talking about his children here. I bet he acted very this way, very ugly towards me. And I have made complaints to the Internal Affairs Department before with two officers an African American descent, dark skin, and a Latino. And I talk about when I talked about the George Zimmerman case last year. If you not last year, excuse me, 2013. You remember I told you about the yeah, okay. And nothing was done. Once again, we had the police chief that was African American who had an Irish last name, and Denise Parker who was lesbian. I should have went to Denise Parker at the time. Okay, so after that situation, I never trust HPD officers of any color. Okay, because I had those who are African American who were ugly, rude as well. Okay, towards me. If the plan was to do some of these officers, whether it be African American descent, Hispanic, Lord forgive me, I probably would not care because they're no different. Okay. Um, and the reason I brought this case up because I did my research on Ruiz and I found that Ruiz was the same officer that arrested SPM. And going back to the DJ Flat's video with Baby Bash, he had issues with HPD did not like SPM. Okay. And remember, SPM music brought both communities together. Let's be real, okay? Um, but it's weird that we both had issues with the same officer. Um, I never liked, and I did put him on blast because that's my taxpayer money. When I was working, was I working? Let's you know that when I was going to that area, I was going to the east side um, workforce area at Harrisburg to go look for a job since I was unemployed at the time. Yes. Um, to go look for work. Yes. So you didn't know that this man just got his history that someone if before he got his badge he could have ended up like Joe Torres. The same thing with Brian and seeing what happened with Sandra Bland. Okay. And a lot of folks don't know that not only African American descended people was harassed by police officers in Texas for having white and they're Hispanic or there was African descent cooning. You had Texas Rangers harass Mexican Americans and call them bandits, kill them, and everything else. So this Joe Torres is not the first situation that happened to Latinos. The John Hernandez, not a lot of the media pick and choose, which is owned by Sinclair, who support Trump's, pick and choose what stories to talk about. And that's why the Latino community sometimes do not know that there is a Latino Lives Matter. It's sad that I'm the one who don't look like the typical Hispanic, but have distant Hispanic roots, and seen as African American who support both Black Lives Matter and Latino Lives and Native Lives Matter as well. Should I say so? All three, and knows about this. Who also look at Latino rebels. Actually, my teacher in school when I was an online student, who was part his Hispanic, Puerto Rican descent, and part Irish. She writes for Latino Rebels, and she was my teacher online in college in 2014. Shout out to her. She's Irish Rican, okay? New York Irish Rican, okay? Um, I shouted out on Twitter recently, and I was one of her students, and she told you she's a timekeeper. She wants you to turn your work in on time, and she told everybody, not to be late. Time is she via time and everything. Okay, that was her. Anyway, but I subscribe to Latino Rebels on social media, and I keep up with these stories. So I know about the Alejandro Nietos. I know about the Romero James Villegas in Bakersville, California, and Annie Lopez, which is no different than Tamir Rice situation. I know about a lot of stories concerning Latinos and people who are who are racist towards Latinos who come on my channel have a block will tell me why you care about them. I care about no. You need to compare both stories so people can realize it can happen to anybody of color. Um, to sit here and not talk about the stories, it involves to understand that Cesar Chavez and Martin King were friends, and before Martin King died and was killed, he was trying to get the Mexican American community and the Latino community, not only Mexican but Puerto Rican community as well, with the Poor People's March. It was poor whites, African American people, African American, Native American, and also Latinos, particularly those who were Mexican and Puerto Rican descent. And he was trying to get Cesar Chavez. They were friends. And when when Martin King passed away, sadly, was killed. It was a Southern Christian, not acting too Christian-like leadership that disregard getting Cesar Chavez involved. But they were friends. Jesse Jackson and Cesar Chavez were friends. A lot of people do not know that there was the Brown Berets along with the Black Panthers. They were together. You know? So a lot of people know there were a brown and black coalitions during the 60s and 70s. A lot of people know that there were, especially in Oakland, even in Los Angeles, California, where there's a lot of black and brown racism, which is stupid in a blue state. Okay? So, like, even New York, with the Puerto Ricans and the African American descent people. So there have always been a black and brown coalition. Even during slavery. The reason why I don't have hatred towards Latinos, even though I'm of Hispanic origin, a lot of people don't know that Latinos are part black too, besides Spanish and Native, okay? In particular, those of Mexican descent, not just Puerto Rican, Mexican descent as well. The third root of Mexico is African. We in Texas, the reason why, because the anti-slavery law in Mexico, written and also created by a Afro-Mestizo man named Vicente Guerrero. Okay? A lot of people don't know this, that the reason why Texas was stolen because of slave masters who were white Anglo-Saxon from the South, particularly Sam Houston, owned by the city, and Stephen Austin. They didn't want to obey the anti-slavery law in Mexico, particularly Texas. So that's the reason why we have Texas. They drug Santa Ana. Santa Ana was fighting not only for Mexico, but people African descent to be free. Okay? A lot of people don't know that. And when these Texas was stolen from Mexico, from white Anglo slave masters from the South, who came here without papers, who came without no DACA assistance and everything else, okay? So I support DACA. It was African descendant people going to Rio Grande, people who are part African American and mixed, pure African American, particularly the black Seminoles who crossed that Rio Grande to be free. Mexico opened its arms to those people. Even two slaves, particularly Tom Blue and Ashu, who were slaves to Sam Houston, crossed the Rio Grande too. A lot of people not know that Mexico opened its arms to people African descent, and that's why I don't have that black on brown BS going on, and I don't believe in that mess. A lot of people of both communities are brainwashed in schools that teach white Anglo-Saxon Protestant history and ignore the history of both communities and see the combination of both. There was a woman who was a slave who was part Mexican and Native American named Lucy Gonzalez Parsons. She was married to a white man, a former Confederate soldier. Surprisingly, they was kicked out of Texas. She went to Chicago, passed it as a non-black, okay, with her exotic looks. And she made Chicago history because she fought for civil rights for minorities in her communities, and also for women, and also for workers' rights, going against employee abuse. And when she died, the Chicago Police Department got rid of her rights because they say she was worse than a rioter. She was an orator. She used her voice, not her fist, not violence, to fight for civil rights. So a lot of people do not know their history, and that's why I'm covering this story, this Jose Campos Torres story, because we have a lot of people today that are ignorant of both communities who bash each other, especially on Facebook. We have folks in the police department who are part of those communities, or probably a combination of both those communities, whether it be distant or recent, and they will not talk about this subject and be hush hush with it and sit here and be ignorant to it. So that's the reason why I'm talking about this. This Jose Campos Torres case brought both communities together. And shout out to Travis Morales, who created a community against police brutality, who brought the African American people in Houston and Latino people in Houston together to fight against the police brutality, especially from HPD. So, therefore, that's why I've covered this story, and this story needs to be known all over the globe. There was a riot, just like the Rodney King riots here in Houston back in 1978, 40 years ago. We should not be seeing comments talking bad about each other from both communities when it comes to these subjects. But once again, we have folks from the baby boom generation, and I will blast their behind, I want to say the A word up in here, who have failed to teach the Generation X, the Generation Y, Z, and millennials of their histories. If the school doesn't educate your histories, then you need to educate your children and your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. This is shocking. In particular, particularly in our backgrounds, when we trace our roots, it teaches a whole different subject. That's why I love history, and I used to go to the Houston Public Library next to the City of Houston office to read about history that was not taught in the schools, because I knew they were teaching a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant history, and they was failing to teach my African American and my Native, and later on I found out my Hispanic history, particularly Creole Louisiana. Okay, that's the whole reason why that I advocate. I'm part of the multiracial movement since I was a teenager, and very still support of the multiracial movement. Uh, Almost 40 years old. Okay, that's the reason why. It takes an educated person to know this stuff. And I continue to talk about these subjects and I have no shame in it because it hurts us. When you fail to talk about the problems, you know different the person who's giving problems, or who's contributing to the problems. That's all I got to say. Rest in peace to our Latino brother, Jose Campos Torres, and all the rest who been killed by police brutality. The Michael Browns, the Alejandro Nietos, the Sandra Blends, okay, the Freddie Grays, the John Hernandez, whoever who been killed by the police department. That's all I have to say.